should let me love you forever, forever. I wanna love you. Will you let me love you forever, forever and a day, 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 day.
Happy Wednesday? Friday. Why do I think it's Wednesday? I don't know, because I don't know what day is what. Happy Friday. It's the weekend, almost the end of June. And, you know, a lot of us are just kind of reeling in all the things that are happening in America. And, you know, without getting political on this show, because that's not what the show is about, I just want to say, you know, vote. Y'all vote. In America, you need to vote, and you need to let your voice be known, and women should be supported, and our bodies our choice. And that's all I'll say. Welcome to 90 Day Fiance, Love in Paradise, Season 2, Episode 3, Reality Bites. I love this show. I love this show. I love this show. I love the show. It's all the things, all the things. So I want to get a couple of things out of the way. We'll do some housekeeping first. Support the show. Bottom of your screen, you can see where you can support the show so that we continue to have these shows. So Venmo, Cashapp, PayPal, Super Chat, Super Stickers are available. Make sure to like, subscribe, tell a friend, all those things. And we're starting off the show with Danielle and Johann in the Dominican Republic. And I wanted to share with you something that Danielle shared with me, because she saw our show. And, you know, I've had all the questions. I've said all the things. Yes, Kelly, Elvis, Flores, choice. Our body, our choice. Facts. Hey, Lori girl, hey. So she saw our show, and, you know, as an African, I had not heard of her religious practices. And so we had a really good tete-a-tete just about her spiritual beliefs. And so she made a statement, and I'm going to read it to you verbatim. And then we can discuss it. Hey, Mandy girl. Hey, girl. Hey. So Danielle says that, quote, so I am not religious. I am spiritual. I haven't initiated into any faith since I was baptized when I was younger. I work with many gods and goddesses depending on what I need. For example, I work with Anaya, spelled Inana, if I'm pronouncing it right, when I feel like I'm going through hell, or Santa Marete, when I need a lot of power or to do something very quickly. I work with my ancestors mostly every morning and evening. I sit at my altar and meditate and pray. I pull cards for myself. I use Reiki and other energetic tools to balance my chakras. And then Ifa, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Probably should ask her. IFAA. I've been spelling EFA because Efa in Ghana is Efa. So, is a religion and also a divination tool. Baba, which is her spiritual mentor, is a chief of the Ifa tradition, and he uses the Ifa system of divination to provide real readings for me, and then gives me rituals to address some of the things that he sees as potential obstacles. Not wearing black, for example, is because black absorbs. Because I work with people who have experienced trauma, black will always take on their energy, while white reflects and balances out the darkness I experience in my work. Another way to raise energetic vibrations is through sound vibrations. The singing bowl you saw, and you guys remember I talked about that singing bowl, like the bowl, and then she, you know, used her hand to like make sound across it. So that's that whole energetic vibration. She goes on to say, basically, it seems as if all of my practices were a part of Ifa, but they are not. The divination and rituals, and then the other Orishas or Yoruba goddesses all are a part of my practice, but I intentionally haven't initiated because then I'm married to a particular dogma or story. And I think all of these stories are just allegories. There's no one true story, just an archetype for an experience. So I'm going to break this down from my understanding. You guys can let me know in the live chat. You guys can let me know in the replay. You guys can let me know in the DMs, wherever you guys reach me. It seems to me that she takes the pieces that work for her in the different types of religions and makes her own faith. So it's a little bit of, hey, I have an altar that I make sacrifices to, but I also believe in like sound energy. I also believe in body energy, mind, body, soul, Reiki, all of those things. And so, I do know a lot of people that incorporate a lot of spiritual aspects of a religion to make a religion that works for them. And so that's that. I think that's the best that I can explain it. If you guys have any other thoughts, definitely let me know in the live chat. But thank you, Danielle, for explaining your point of view, and I appreciate you, and thank you for watching the show and all the things. And when your NDA is off, let's definitely have you come on the show and chit chat about your religion. Maybe you can explain it better to us. Hey, Vanessa. Hey, girl. Hey. So we're talking about Danielle and Johann. We talked about a little bit of her religion and her statement that she made. They're in the DR. One of the things I loved about this show, and I still love about this show, is that it just seems fresh still. And one of the, you guys, I'm 90 days since day one. A lot of you guys know me from AfterBuzz days. We've covered this show since it very began, and I cover all the shows. And I've never really, I got irritated with single life here and there, but overall, I would never just not be like, oh, I'm not for this. And this is the first season, 90 Day Fiance season 9, that I'm just like, mm. So I'm really happy about Love in Paradise because it still seems fresh. The couple seem real and they seem new, and the storylines are something that we haven't seen before. And I don't feel like these couples are clout chasing. They're really trying to find and work out their relationships. And so that's what I appreciate about it. And I'm having a great time, like I told you guys, with Seeking Sister Wife this new season, Love in Paradise this new season. Pillow Talk is great. And what's the other one that I'm missing right now? 90 Day Diary is great. So we have some options, and I'm kind of going with the options, and I'm okay with that. I hope you guys are okay with that too, because this season of 90 Days, But back to Love in Paradise. I love that Danielle is speaking Spanish to the best of her ability. I love that she's put that effort in. I feel like in this franchise, we don't see a lot of that. We see the translator app and the translator machine come through, and she's really invested in her relationship, and she's really putting an effort in, and I love to see that. I love to see that both sides, her and Johann, are both trying, right? Because that's the person you say you love, so you're trying to communicate, because communication is key in a relationship. And so I loved seeing that. So anyways, if you guys remember from last episode, they had their date night for the first night out, and they went back home, and obviously they were getting jiggy with that. And Danielle talks about his penis size again, and she's like 4'11", he's like 6'5". They look adorable together, but she's quite smaller than him, right? So she is talking about, and I'm doing it because that's what she did, that his penis size is the size of her arm, right? So her arm is like this, and she's like, his penis is like this. And they're having sex all the time, which I am all for, right? Because I've told you guys, we've talked about relationships and what's important in relationships, and sex is important in a relationship. I don't care who you're talking to. And if they tell you that it's not, they're lying. So they're having a lot of sex all the time, all day. And I get that because they've been away from each other, right? Long distance relationships, as soon as you are in person with that person, you're going to want to be intimate with them. You're going to want to spend time with them. And so they're having a lot of sex all the time, all day. And she talks about how sometimes it's not physically possible because 5 times a day, every day for 2 weeks, and if you're like this, right, what she's saying, then it's physically not possible for her. However, I do think that it's healthy to have those conversations. It's healthy to acknowledge that sex is important in a relationship, right? And if they're having all the sex all the time, then good on them. And if she can't, 5 times a day on vacation, it sounds about right. What do you guys think? Does that sound about right? Or am I just being extra? Because I always tell you guys, sex, religion, money, and children, basic talk, is super important in communication. It's clear that these two, whatever else their issues are, they're sexually compatible. And I don't know if you're gonna say it's because of all the lotions and potions she brought with her. I don't know. Or if they just really enjoy each other's company and are sexually attracted to each other. Definitely let me know what you think. So maybe it's a combination of both of those things. But whatever the case may be, y'all, they're getting it in where they fitted it in. Mandy says, sounds about right under the circumstances. Right, Mandy? Yeah, you're on vacay. You're on holiday. You're going to do what you got to do. You haven't seen the person that you're attracted to for months or a year or however long it's been. You're going to prioritize that little something, something. Little something, something. So they want to have a baby together. And again, my issue with this whole situation is you got to communicate your needs and your wants. And for me, they haven't had that talk about money. And what do I say about money? Money's important because how you spend it, how you save it, and how you earn it is all important. Or else you're going to have issues. And we're going to talk about that when we get to Danielle and Amber. You're going to have issues with that. So if you guys are not on the same page about money, it's going to be a problem. And I can already see that with Danielle and Johann, it's a problem. It's a problem because she has questions. He thinks she's the rich American. She's like, hey, no, that's not how life works out here. I don't have 30,000, 20,000, 10,000 lying around like that. That's not how it works. Plus, I have a grown-ass 21-year-old child that I have, not child, but child. That's what people say. I have a 21-year-old son that I'm responsible for the rest of my life. So money's not just dropping down the trees, right? Plus we have inflation and recession coming up, all the things. I get it. So she's trying to think of the big picture, but at the same time, she still wants to have a baby with him. And I'm like, you want to have a baby with Johann? You haven't known him in person for more than a month. You know that he has no money. He's not contributed to anything. You're already complaining about you paying for hotels and restaurants and all the things. And yet you want to have a baby with him? How does that work? How does that work? Because I get it. You love him. You want to be with him. And we'll talk about the rest of it later. But just the simple fact that you don't know how this whole thing. Last week you were talking about where do you want to live? You haven't even had that conversation. He's like, I want to live in the DR and New York at the same time, half and half. But now you want to bring a baby into it. But last week you were complaining how you pay for everything, but yet you still want to have a baby. And speaking of babies, and not to get super political, but the Supreme Court had a huge ruling today against Roe versus Wade that's been upheld for the last 50 years. So like, you got to have those conversations. Mandy's like, Mandy's saying Danielle is asking for too much. He's already 6'4", tall, which all the women want. He's hung, which all the women want. And now you want him to be rich, Danielle? Come on. Vanessa said, how many of these over 40 women have actually had a baby on the show? I don't know. I wish midwife Crystal was in the live chat right now because I could ask her what those percentages are, but I actually don't know. But I do know people that have had babies over 40, so I know it's possible. And yeah, we'll talk about it. So they want to have a baby together. They don't care if they don't have money. They're in love. They're in la la land, all the things. She's worried that she's too old, but he's not worried because he has faith in God. And, as a Christian myself, I understand where he's coming from, right? Because sometimes the science says it's this. And there are often times where you go past the science and you don't really have an answer for it. And the answer really is your faith in God. And everyone has a different opinion and different belief system. And I totally get it. But I get where Johann is coming from with this. So they have an appointment at the fertility clinic, which I thought was interesting because they have like a week, right? Didn't they say last week that they were getting married the following week? She's spending like 2 days in the hotel, then they're going back to his hometown and they were going to get married. So like, where are you fitting in, Danielle and Johann? The fertility clinic, you still have to go buy a banana tree with some eggs and fruits, and you still have to plant that so for his wandering eye. And then on top of all of that, no wonder you feel stressed out. You feel stressed out because you got too much to do in less than what, in 2 weeks? 2 weeks you have to get married, you have to pay for his tuxedo, you have to make sure that he has a venue, you have to meet his family, you're going to the fertility clinic, plus your F spiritual advisor told you have to find a banana tree planted by the water, get eggs surrounded by the water, get fruit, surround that too. And like all the things, that's stressful. That is so stressful to me. But I guess that's what we're doing. So they went to the fertility clinic. He's not nervous. She's nervous. He has no doubts because, again, he has faith. And so she gets in. The doctor says that she has a really great over reserve. And like the lining or whatever, the thickness looks good, he says. And that he talks about fertility and, you're fertile, have a baby any minute that you want up until the time you're 35. And then it gets lower. And then by the time you're 40, it's just low. And so Danielle's been afraid that if she can't get pregnant, Johann won't want to marry her. But she's getting like a clean bill of health because she's talking about how she doesn't have fibroids. They're going in to look at the ovaries and the ovaries look okay. And so, again, 42 is not old by any means, but it's like, I don't know. Like, I have so many thoughts on this, but at the end of the day, she has a clean bill of health. However, she can't stop the aging process. And it's something that she said that she realizes as well, right? She can't stop the aging process and the amount of eggs and all the things. But I do think that you have to factor in your faith into it. You have to factor in your faith into it. Vanessa says, yes, there are women who have babies over 40. I know a few, but it's not the rule, and it's usually after a lot of expensive medical intervention. Yeah, I mean, I've been moving forward with all these hackers. Like, there's these X-rated hackers that come into the live chat lately a lot, and all the pages are getting bombarded by them. And I usually put it to subscribers, but I was so busy today that I wasn't able to do that. So, hence the people that clearly they need to get a little jiggy because you wouldn't be so desperate that you're all across YouTube hacking all of the lives to get a little attention. Clearly you're an incel, and I feel bad for you, and good luck to you, because you're just going to continue to get blocked everywhere, and you think you're doing the most, but you're really not doing anything because everyone's looking at you like, I was going to say something, but I won't say it. But 90 Day Fiance cast member, is that you? Anyhow, there is on the YouTube page I'm the worst, but I'm funny. There is a poll. So if you're watching through YouTube, make sure you take a look at that poll, and I'll take a look at it sometime throughout this broadcast. So Johann says, if Danielle couldn't have a baby, it would destroy him because he's always wanted to have a baby his entire life, and he helped raise his nieces and nephews, and this is something he's just really wanted. But one of the things that he says that I thought was interesting is that if she couldn't have a baby, he wouldn't tell her that it would destroy him. He would keep it to himself. And I was like, you know what? That's not the foundation of a great relationship. That's not the foundation of open communication, because as the time goes by, you're going to continue to resent her and resent her and resent her. And she's not going to know the reason why, because you've decided that you would keep it to yourself. And that's not an okay thing. And when I talk about relationships, as per usual, I always tell you communication is key. And having that conversation about babies is going to be key, because he's saying now he wouldn't tell her. But guess what? After he marries her, comes to America, has his green card, they're living the life. Guess what's going to happen? He's going to meet some 20-something that looks amazing to him, that can have babies, and he's going to have a baby outside of his marriage, and that's going to hurt everyone involved. So you definitely have to have that conversation before you get to that point. You have to. If he's saying he wanted a baby his whole entire life, and for whatever reason, I'm not saying it's for the green card only, but we'll see. I'm on the fence with him. If it's not just to come to America and support your family, then I don't know what it is. And I also think it's interesting too, if I think back to the first episode where they met up and he was telling her how she looked beautiful as a white woman, and then to have a biracial baby. I mean, that could factor into it as well, right? So there's a lot of layers on this that I think, again, if you don't communicate and you don't say what your real needs are, and you say, oh, I'm just going to keep it to myself, you're going to keep it to yourself because you have an agenda. And your agenda is to come to America, get your green card, make money, support your family back in the Dominican Republic, all the things. But you're forgetting that you have a whole person that has fallen in love with you, that you're using, and they're going to be hurt by your actions. So you saying, hey, I'm going to keep it to myself, to me, it's just not cool. It's just not cool. So the doctor says that Danielle has a nice uterus, and unfortunately it's quantity over quality. And the quantity is fine, but the quality is low. It's supposed to be above a 1. And again, I wish midwife Crystal was here so she could explain it a little bit more to me, but it's supposed to be a 1. And currently Danielle is at a 0.016. So with her own eggs, her percentage of having a successful pregnancy is low, very low. And she talks about how she knows her body. She has intuition, all the things. And she knew that that was the case. She had her first baby at 21. She's 42 now, and she thought she was done. But then she met Johann, and now they want to have a baby together, especially because he really wants to have a baby. And so the doctor says her best options are IVF with a donor egg and his semen. And then she's like, well, what if I didn't want to do that? If I wanted to do it naturally? And he's saying that they have a 5% success rate. And Johann's not worried, because Johann is like, God is with us. And if she can't get pregnant the natural way, we'll look for another way. But in the meantime, I'm not going to give up on my belief and my faith that this is possible. And I'm not mad at him. I think that that's absolutely true. And if anyone is like a believer like that, a lot of times people say things can be only a certain way, and then there are miracles, and there is there is unscientific proof to explain it away. So if he wants to believe what he wants to believe, then I'm there 100% for him. But he's like, let's try natural, and then if we can't do natural, we'll figure out another way. And then I was asking, and again, midwife Crystal, I know where she is, so I'm just being an asshole right now, but my question is, could she get her eggs? So she has a 5% success rate, right, you guys? And then she has the quantity of eggs, but not the quality of eggs. Couldn't they harvest her eggs, the ones that she does have, and then use Johann's semen and fertilize them and then have like a surrogate? Wouldn't that work? Because clearly he's not saying that she can't have kids naturally. He's saying it's a 5% success rate. So if you take the eggs that she has now, put it in some like young bucks carrier, is that the right word? Fertilized with Johann's sperm, then wouldn't that work? Vanessa says he's young enough to try it out with this lady and then move on and have a family with someone else. Whoa. Vanessa says her eggs are old. So her eggs are old and what? She's not that much older than me, Vanessa. So you saying my eggs are old too? Because I don't have a baby, and I still believe I can have a baby. So I'm going with Johann on this one. So Johann's still not worried. God is with us, and if she can't get pregnant, he says we'll look for another way. And again, I just feel like there are options for them. The doctor said it's not like she can't get pregnant, but the percentages are low. But low does not mean no. So she's really upset. She's been crying. I think this is something that she wasn't expecting. And so she asked Johann, do you want to try to have a baby naturally or do you want to use a doctor? And obviously he says he wants to try naturally. Then if it doesn't work out, then they'll use a doctor. And she's like, well, you realize that it's like $30,000 for egg donor. How are we going to pay for this? I don't have that type of money lying around, and you have no money because you can't even pay for a $61 rest of deposit for your tuxedo. So like, what do you want to do? And then he's like, nothing is impossible for God. God will do everything for you. And he realizes that he doesn't have much money to have a baby, so his only solution is to pray. And he's like, I hate to see her like this. I hate to see her upset. I hate to see her crying, but not to worry because they'll find a way. And I feel like his attitude is half the battle, you guys. His attitude is half the battle. I get signs of science, but I do believe, especially this year and all the things that I've gone through, that science is one thing, but your attitude towards science is going to be also important. If you're negative and not accepting, then your body's going to be negative and not accepting. And some things are beyond your control. But if you embrace it and you have faith and you believe, then you can overcome. And I've seen it a billion times. So she wants solutions, and she doesn't believe in his evangelical Christian ways that God will solve everything. She feels like you have to take responsibility for your own actions as well. So she's trying to look for her own solutions, which, as a Christian, that's not how it works, but I understand what she's saying. So he's upset to see her upset, and she's really upset. And she says, like, this week is giving her a dose of reality that she wasn't really willing to handle yet. I feel really bad for you, troll. I really feel bad for you. Good luck, incel. Vanessa says, so if they tell you the quality is not there, then you're signing up for a lot of things. Is he sticking around if they don't have a healthy baby? But that's not what they said, Vanessa. The doctor said, is that what he said? The quality. Oh yeah, quantity and quality is low. Supposed to be above 1. Now at 0.16. Okay, so okay. It's still not a no. It's still not like she can't have babies. 5% is better than 0%, I suppose. I don't know. I believe in miracles. We'll see. Onward and upward. We have so much. I spent 30 minutes on that couple, but they had a lot to say, so that was okay. So Danielle and Amber, I'm glad these two are back. Danielle, we talked about the freshman 15, the K130. Danielle has definitely something about America gives you that K130. I don't know what it is. Same, being in America, I definitely have the K130 without the K1 fiance. But something about America, and I think it's. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about why do people gain weight when they come to America, and I realized what it is. It's not only like the huge portion sizes that are nowhere else in the world, but also you're not as active. Like, yeah, you can be a gym rat and all the things, but if you're first coming here and like you can't work and you don't know anyone and all the things, it would take extra effort to like go on walks and go on hikes and go to it, have a gym membership that you can't pay for because you can't work. So all the things. So you naturally gain weight, and you naturally gain weight also too because the portions are way bigger than what you're used to. So when we talk about Danielle and him like being from Venezuela, living the past 4 years in Costa Rica, talking about how he would surf day and night, all the things, and then he moves to Florida, which he doesn't think is paradise, which is a whole different conversation. But he's also not working, doesn't know anyone, so he's not being as active. And now it's like, ding, ding, that's what it is. You're not as active, and the portions are huge that your body's not used to. And I also do think too that um, you're just getting fresher food in third world countries because they don't have the resources to have all the extra stuff that they put in packaged food here. You're not getting the same type of packaged food in third world countries as you are in America. And I think that that absolutely makes a difference. And you all can fight me if you want, but I'm going to talk about my strawberries and the packaged strawberries in America and how all of a sudden you're looking at hepatitis and all the things where that's not going to be the case, when you're naturally growing your own food, fresh food. Anyhow, um, he talks about how they fell in love in paradise, and Amber talks about how she spent 2 years traveling to Costa Rica to be with him, and they fell in love. They got engaged. He got the K1 visa, moved to the U.S. They got married, and that day was the best day of their lives. However, the future looks a lot different than what either of them expected. So they pan into just the day-to-day chores, like a clogged toilet, and them both seeing how the day-to-day life is a lot different being together. And she bought a house the same weekend that she got married. So she got married, she bought a house, and so she was highly stressed out because she has to maintain that house on a server in a restaurant salary, which, I know a lot of servers and bartenders, and they make a lot of money. Some of them make a lot of money depending on where you work and what city you're in. So um but regardless, buying a home is a huge undertaking, like she says. And they've been in their house for 8 months, and she's paying all the bills because she thought that as soon as that he came over, he would get his green card, which is his work permit. And it's been 8 months and he hasn't received it yet, which she has to remember, we're still coming off of a pandemic. Listen, you guys, I'll say this without saying too much about my own situation. I was waiting on government papers. They never came. I get this text, and it's a random text. I'm not going to respond to a random text because there's so many scammers out there. Like, literally, here's a scam from today at 5:49. I'll cover the person's phone number because I'm respectful. but just like a scammer who says, "How are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm covering it here, but not here. Oh, that doesn't even make any type of sense. Okay, let me try it this way. Okay, let me just tell you because I don't want to be an asshole. So, how are you? Who is this? My name is Amber. I say, you have the wrong number. Don't text again. Good luck to you." And that's not the first time where on my phone, I get some random ass text message saying, "Hey, girl, hey, blah, blah, blah. I want this, I want this." There's so many scammers. And since I'm on this topic, scammers, I wanted another scam that's huge on Instagram, and I know a lot of us are on Instagram. But if you get an Instagram message, there's quite a few scams going on right now. One of the scams is this, and I'm going to tell you because I really got irritated by it. So if you get a scam to oh, it's blurred now. So $2,500 for you to guess if you can guess the number that's inside the circle. This person here, right? I say, stop sending spam. The person says, if you think it's spam, block me. And someone just received his money. And I said, obviously this account has been hacked. Because here's what the thing: if you get something like this and you click on it, you guys, that's how your account gets hijacked, and then you don't have your account back. And if I go to this person's page, all of her posts before were all about like fitness and all of that stuff. But as soon as she got hacked, all of a sudden, you've accepted 14,500 in Bitcoin. And then the next one is, oh, I got this new car because of clicking on this link. If you look at their history, none of it says anything like that. It's all just about fitness. That person has been hacked. Then another person was like, this was one I hadn't seen before. Friend of mine from back home in Canada said, "Hey, I'm competing on an online ambassador position influencer program. Can you vote for me?" And I was like, "Sure. Where do I vote?" She says, "All right, thanks. An entry link will be sent to you as a text message," which also is not how my friend talks. I've known her for years. "Check your text messages and send me a screenshot of the text you just received on here so I can send it to my sponsor." Why would I do that? Because she needs the codes, right? So she sent me this weird thing that I didn't click on. I was like, "Oh, this is a hack. Goodbye. You're blocked." And then they went on to say, "Did you get the text?" "Yeah, I got the text, but I blocked you because I knew that was a scam." So if anyone's trying to send you $2,500, if anyone's trying to say, click on this link, send me the screenshot, send me your code, send me your last name, send me your birthday, send me whatever, it's a scam. The only time that it's not a scam is if you're like reading something, link in bio, that's not a scam. I posted, because we are Team Taeyang here, I posted about Taeyang's GoFundMe. It's legit. You've heard of it. You can click on that link. But anything else, and especially you guys, when you're looking at these fuckers who literally have no followers or a new account, right? Or restricted and private, that's not where you're about. So just don't click on links. Don't fall for any random person saying they're going to send you money, because they're not going to send you money. And that's that. Tangent over. So that being said, life is not what either of them, Danielle or Amber, expected. And so she specifically is feeling a bit resentful towards him because she didn't realize it was going to take so long for him to get a green card and get a job. And so every little thing is irritating her. Every little thing is becoming a fight. And she's not impressed. She feels like he's kind of freeloading, but she should have thought of that before the whole K1 visa process. And the fact that he's only 25, she's 31, like, you said you would take on this responsibility, and this responsibility lasts as long as it lasts. Even when he gets his green card, what if he can't get a job right away? You're still responsible for him. But she's feeling resentful. And so she's off to work at her waitressing job, and she's like, hey, listen, can you do the dishes while I'm at work? And he's like, yeah, I'm sitting around here bored. I have no car, no job, no friends. And it's definitely not what he expected. And she goes into this whole thing about how much she sacrificed, how much money she spent. And he's like, hey, listen, you're not the only one that sacrificed. I've literally uprooted my entire life to be with you. And I don't know anyone here. I can't work. I can't do anything. I'm here just because of you. So you're not the only one that sacrificed, which I 100% agree with. And because there's such a financial burden, her sister Ashley has moved in to the house. She's a roommate, renting out a spare room. And Amber's good with it because Amber says that her sister Ashley is helping out with the bills because, Daniel has no money and he can't help with any of the bills. But he's also irritated because the house is only like 1,200 square feet. There's 3 adults and 4 cats. And as soon as they said the 4 cats, I know you guys know me. I know the people that watch my show all the time. You guys know how I feel about cats. You cannot have 1,200 feet square house and have 4 cats. You can't even have 1 cat. No, thank you. No, thank you. No cat is sleeping on my bed. They're not sleeping on my feet. Animal lovers, I feel you. I love most animals. I don't like cats. Okay? Don't like cats. I just don't like them. I don't know the purpose. I don't understand the whole situation. I think some of them are feral. And so I can imagine having 4 cats and 1,200 square feet. Like, that is my nightmare. So I felt for him when he said this. And they only have 1 bathroom, 3 adults, 4 cats. There's no privacy. And, Daniel's home not doing anything. So he's in construction. He has experience in construction. So he wants to build a second bathroom in the spare room. But what he doesn't know that we're about to find out is that spare room is about to be occupied by a 4th adult that he doesn't know about. So, like, can you imagine that? And, like, you can't go anywhere and you don't know anyone and you don't have a car. Oh, Lord. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Amber doesn't trust it, doesn't trust him, doesn't trust his construction ability, even though he's had construction jobs before and he's worked in construction. And one of the things that I didn't like that I thought was super controlling and super, like, again, lack of communication in a relationship is that she said that he doesn't pay bills, so he doesn't get an opinion. And until he gets a job and pays bills, whatever she says goes. And I thought that is definitely not a proper relationship where you guys are equal and working together. There are so many times where I know that, like, one person, like Pedro, is working 12 hours at a warehouse job so he can help support his wife get through nursing school. It's an ebb and flow. You're working together to further your future. And if one person does one thing at one time and then the other person does the second thing at the second time, you're supporting each other to have the beautiful future that you want. But if you're already resenting 8 months into your relationship that he can't work, despite and out of his control, and you're resenting him, and then not only you're resenting him, you don't feel he's equal partner in the relationship, so he doesn't have a say in the relationship, sounds terrible. This sounds more like you think you're a parent, you can control this person, versus you're in a 50-50 partnership. It sounded terrible. I think Amber's absolutely wrong for this. And the other thing that I thought about is that, listen, if he's in construction and he's saying, hey, I want to add on to your house that you just bought, renos always add value. So even if you're out of pocket, you're only out of pocket for the resources you need, not the labor. So you're going to cut that cost in half. But because you don't trust your husband to do a good job, even though he's told you he has experience in construction, and you are looking down on him and don't believe it. That's why you're like, well, if you don't do it right, I have to bring someone in and pay more money. Wow, really? That's how you feel? Because I got to tell you, your little $1,200 square foot home would definitely add at least 15% value if you added a second bathroom, because then you have, what at least a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom versus a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom. So you got to think of the bigger picture, and you have to probably be less controlling and less thinking that you know everything because you make the money. You knew that that was going to be the situation when he came to America, and you did it anyways. So you can't blame him that the government hasn't brought his green card to him quick enough for him and quick enough for you. It's ridiculous. But Amber's really worried about the finances. Daniel's worried about the finances as well, living with the sister as well, and the arguing. It's all very stressful for both of them. So on the weekends, they go out with friends, and they're going line dancing, y'all. Daniel's not really for it. He thinks that her friends are a mess. They just get drunk, he says, and get messy, and he's not for it. And he doesn't want his wife to get into their mess, which, is fair. So they go to the Dallas Bull, which is a country club. Not a country club where you golf and sit back with a bunch of rich people and drink. A country club where you like bull ride and line dance. And Danielle's really not kind of for it. Like he rather have gone salsa dancing where he can be like one-on-one with his wife and be like close contact and have that connection with his wife. He's not really into line dancing. And I always say, you can try any like social situation at least once and see if you have fun. But I also get it. Like he's in Florida, Bible Belt, looking at the videos, like there was no diversity. He's the only immigrant in the building. She's off with all her friends that she's known for years, and they all look like her, and he looks different. That could be intimidating, and perhaps, not enticing for him to try to get involved. And if he's not like a huge drinker, thinking that, hey, I usually just like drink like this because it's a vacation or whatever, we're having a good time, but I don't expect my wife to be this crazy party animal that gets super drunk and messy and can't hold her liquor. I kind of get what he's saying. And he's like, when Amber's with her friend, she forgets about him. He's standing there. She has this bestie named Ashton, who is her gay bestie. And Ashton is going through a divorce with his husband. And apparently Ashton's moving into this 1,200 square foot house. So one of the things I thought, the reason why she doesn't want Daniel to make that spare room a bathroom is because she's going to move Ashton into it. And she hasn't told Danielle yet, which is a terrible idea. It's all terrible. It's all terrible. I cannot even imagine. Can you, like, just think about it, you guys. You're in a small ass house. You're still getting used to the country and getting used to you're newly married, so you definitely want to have that privacy and that honeymoon phase, but you can't have the honeymoon phase because there's no privacy in your house, because your wife has moved in her sister, and now she's going to move in the best friend. So there's going to be 4 adults, 4 cats, 1 bathroom, 1 person can't work. 2 of those people are related, so they're going to be like this. The 4th person is bonded with one of those 2 people and they're besties. That's a recipe for disaster. It would be a disaster. Let me tell you, it would be a disaster. She's asking, and the fact that she hasn't told her husband, discussed it with her husband, but also agreed to it already, I can already tell you that's a communication issue 101. You made a life-changing decision about your house where it's supposed to be your refuge, where you lay your head down and just feel comfortable and not uncomfortable. He's already feeling uncomfortable with all the cats and the sister, and now you're bringing someone else in without telling him. I don't know. I don't think that that's how you have an open, honest communicative relationship. I just don't see it. And Ashton agreed with me. He's like, you have to tell him. You have to tell him before I move in because I don't want to be the reason why you guys break up is because you guys didn't communicate that I was going to come and live in your house. And, communication is key. And he says, communicate with your husband, be honest, be truthful. I've already been in a relationship that broke up because guess what? We didn't know how to communicate. And that's absolutely 100% what I think too. Vanessa says, because she doesn't see him as equal. She doesn't, because she feels like she is the breadwinner and she's resentful over it. But she should have thought about that when she thought about the K1 visa process and what that looks like. Moving on to Ariana and Sherlon. She's leaving for Jamaica in a couple of days. First time she's going to see Sherlon in over a year. She is making this trip like the trip that is going to make us find out whether we're in it or we're not in it, where the relationship stands, and if the relationship doesn't stand, what role he's going to play as a father. She feels like she wants him to step up with his fatherly duties. She's in love with him. She feels like she's in an exclusive relationship with him. He clearly doesn't feel the same way. And we already know from last season how she felt like, oh, I'm pregnant, then that means we're going to get married. But she never considered, hey, listen, this is all about, perhaps it might just be about co-parenting and getting along for the sake of the child. And again, I'm not going to go off in a total tangent because I can, but you decided to go on vacay and have unprotected sex with someone you didn't know, and then you found out you got pregnant when you got home. That's on you too, right? You're a grown-ass 25-year-old woman. I know you know what contraception means, but you decided not to. So you both decided not to. And so now you're like, hey, you have to marry me? Like, stop it. Just stop it. Anyways, she meets with her friend Paige and Corbin. They're having breakfast or whatever, and she's complaining about Sherlon and saying how he hasn't been there for Odin, all the things. The one thing she asked him to do, and I don't know if this is true or not, but to fill out paternity papers, she sent him all the information. He was supposed to go and get it filled out, get a witness, and send it back so she could add him on Odin's birth certificate. And again, I don't have a kid, so I don't know how it works, but I think you can add just the person's name immediately. And then afterwards, send in like the receipts. Like, hey, I said Tom Jones is the father, and then here's Tom Jones' information. But I don't know if that's really how it works, but that's how I would assume it works. Like, I don't think you could just not be like, hey, you didn't send in the paperwork in Jamaica, so now I can't add you to the birth certificate. I don't think that's how it works. But that's how she's saying it works, and he didn't do what he was supposed to do, and she's mad about it. And clearly, that kind of sucks for Odin, too. Like, I don't know what Sherlon seems like he has his shoulders on his head, his head on his shoulders properly. And is making the best decisions for the situation he's in. But then again, I don't know how the birth certificate situation works. And so if he was supposed to just do one thing and he didn't do it, then that's kind of disappointing to me. Oh, Mandy, that's very complex. Mandy says, how many people do you think seek out that resort to bang Sherlon as some sort of 90-day TMZ bus tour? That's a lot. That's a lot. You're saying a lot. So anyhow, she's worried that he hasn't been faithful. And I was like, are you guys even in a relationship? Like, has that been determined by you guys? Because I don't think it has been. But she feels like they're in an exclusive relationship. He has said clearly and often that he's not committed to this yet. There's been too much distance. He hasn't known her for enough time. Literally, he thought she was vacay bae. And then they had a kid. And so now the relationship is not just, hey, wham, bam, thank you. It's, oh, now we have a baby, right? So I feel like he's taking it realistically. He's like, hey, listen, I don't even know anything about you. Haven't spent a lot of time with you. we had sex, you got pregnant, now we have a baby. I want to be a good person and be a co-parent, but I don't really know if I want to be with you, which is, I think, responsible for him to say, rather than be like, hey, yeah, I love you, I love you, I love you. Yeah, I'm faithful to you and all the things, when he really is not being that way because he doesn't feel that way. He's being open and honest for where he is in this relationship. Um the quote that he said, because he works at this swingers club at night in Jamaica, and the quote that he said, the flesh is a weakness, made me laugh out loud, because honestly, she thinks that he's probably out there cheating. And again, if you haven't established what your relationship is, then I don't understand if it could be called cheating. If you're not exclusive, then it's just you're dating that person. And what makes it a little bit more hectic is the fact that you have a baby. Vanessa said, to clear it up for me, paternity is only assumed when you're married. Otherwise, the guy has to sign a declaration of paternity or wait for a case to be open to establish paternity. So there it is. Thank you, Vanessa. Anyhow, I feel like Ariana has grown a little bit. So she feels like she deserves love and affection and to be in a relationship, versus last season where she's like, oh, I'm having a baby, you have to be my man, and you have to marry me, and boom, 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 we have to be a family. Now she's like, I deserve to be loved and affection and all the things. And if that's not what Sherlon wants, then we have to figure a way to co-parent our child, which I think is a huge change from what we saw from her last season. Anyhow, she's moved back home, and her mom, Karen, came out of retirement to help financially take care of both her daughter and her grandson, which is a whole other conversation that we just don't have time for. And the mom thinks that this relationship with Sherlon is not going to work. She's not optimistic about it. She doesn't feel like Sherlon is the right one for her daughter. And again, I have mixed feelings. Like, your daughter, she wasn't doing shit before she went to Jamaica, and she's still not doing shit. And now the excuse is that she's a single mom, and she needs, she's 25 and she needs her grown ass mom who was retired to come out of retirement to help her raise her kid. Like, what do you, Ariana, do you work? Do you have a job? Or your mom, who was retired, has to now care for her grown ass daughter and the child that she had because she was being irresponsible and had unprotected sex on a 2-week vacay. Like, if you're gonna throw shade to Sherlon, I feel like these parents really need to look at the child that they raised. I know you love your child and that's your child and you're going to love them unconditionally. But I also think, too, that sometimes, you got to look at some of the choices that your grown-ass child has made. Hey, Michelle. Hey, girl. Hey. Absolutely. Absolutely. Vanessa says, these parents enable the entitlement 100%. 100%. So Ariana's like, she's a different woman now. She's been a single mom for 10 months, or she's raised this kid herself. Well, I mean, did you though? Did you? Uh, uh, I'll leave that up in the air. So she's off to Jamaica. She's leaving that day. Sherlon's super excited to meet his 10-month-old. It's 24 hours later. They get to meet in real life after almost a year. Hasn't seen Ariana in that same length of time. He has love for her, but he feels like they've grown apart. And this trip is really going to have to see if they can mend the broken pieces, and if he does want to be in a relationship with her, which I 100% think is accurate. Sherlon picks up Odin. Odin cries a lot because obviously it's someone that you've only seen on screen. It's a new person to you. But Sherlon feels like it's love at first sight, best day of his life. It's all about Odin. And that is where Ariana gets a little bit jealous. She's like, hey, I love the fact that he's showing so much love to his son, but I wish he would show some love to me. He's actually like, I'm just the baby mama. And so on this trip, she's like, I'm not doing shit. I'm not doing anything. It's your turn to be a parent. You're going to wake up in the middle of the night. You're going to change diapers. You're going to bathe them. You're going to feed them and all the things. And I'm on a mommy break. And which is absolutely her right. But I also think, too, it's not realistic, because I think that if you're trying to find the balance and you want this to be a equal and open and communicative relationship, then guess what? You're going to have to do it how it really would be if you guys were both together in real life. Just my opinion. Last but not least, and I just have to, okay, so we're like over at an hour. So it's all good. It's all good. Last but not least is VaLentine and Carlos from Colombia. Listen, these two, I think that they're going to be my favorite on the season. I just don't know why. I just feel like it's, I learned every time I watch them, you guys. I'm a grown ass woman, and I've just learned so much from them that I think it's all very fascinating. Anyways, they're having growing pains. VaLentine is still bitching about being served alcohol, the little bit of champagne, the half sip that he had. He's still complaining about that, which I think, is a bitch ass move, to be honest. Like, you're a grown ass man. You could have you picked up the bottle. You could have read the bottle. You could have again asked the questions, used your words, and communicated, but you didn't. And now you're blaming Carlos, which is unnecessary. He's trying to make a special moment. And again, if you're not an alcoholic, then it can't be a big deal. I get it if you're an alcoholic and one sip of alcohol in your tongue can totally take you off of your sobriety. But if you're just like choosing not to drink alcohol, then just calm the fuck down. You're making it such a big deal. It's the very next day. It's not like you drank a whole glass, you had a sip and you're like, is this alcohol? Like, again, there has to be something behind that, because you're making a way bigger deal of it than it is, in my opinion. Anyhow, they went to bed. They both think each other are good lovers, and because they're both tops. And someone told me the other word and I can't remember. I don't know, whatever. They're both tops. They're not bottoms. So there was like no, and I'm just telling you what the show told me. So don't come for me. Don't like do all the things. So they pleasure each other without penetration, and they both feel satisfied. And they both feel like they're the prize. VaLentine was surprised by how big Carlos's eggplant was, and VaLentine says, self-proclaimed, that he has a big eggplant, and that they're both gorgeous, good looking. They both have big eggplants, so there's lots of love to go around. And when I say lots of love to go around, yeah, that's the other thing. You can smell booze too, like all the things. He made such a big deal about it, Mandy. It made me sick. Yeah, Shane, I talked about that at the top of the chat. I usually do put it on sub mode. I just didn't have time today. I ran out of time, but it's all good. Like I said, those bots are incels, and if they need to spam pages like this, I mean, I feel bad for them, because clearly they aren't getting anything. Unlike VaLentine and Carlos, who are having a good old jolly time, both good looking, both athletic, both in shape, both with big eggplants. So they're happy. The only difference is that VaLentine is polyamorous, which he feels, which, we need to get Jared on this show too, because polyamorous, meaning you can love more than one person at one time. So you can be in a relationship with someone and love them, but you can love someone else. And like, what does that mean? Can you love more than one person at one time? Like, how does that work? What does that look like? Do you bring in just one person? Does that one person have to be attracted to you, or they have to be attracted to you and your partner? And like, Do you have separate dates with that person, or do you date as a throuple? I just have so many questions. But apparently, that's what VaLentine is, polyamorous, and he realized 5 years ago that he can be in love with one person and another person at the very same time. And I agree with Carlos. Carlos like, well, is that just a way for you to just play around using polyamorous as an excuse? 100%. The Linda and Gerard Melanated Hour. That's hilarious. I'm gonna reach out to him and see if we can do a little collaboration, collab, because he has the answers. I don't have the answers. I know that polygamy, polyamorous, and plural, and there's another word that I forget, and he explained it to me like 4 times, and I just totally forgot it. But they all have separate meanings. But I think that if you're in a relationship and you're saying you're polyamorous, it means that you don't want to be in a closed relationship. You want to be in an open relationship, which I think that that's not what Carlos wants. And Carlos even talks about it. He says that, he's worried because he's not necessarily a jealous person, but if he feels like VaLentine is having feelings for someone else while he's in a relationship with him, then yeah, that's going to bring out his um Mandy, no one knows what you're talking about. That was a Patreon only exclusive content, so I'm not even going to address it. I'm not even going to address any of it. That's it. That's all. We spent like a week talking crazy, and I cannot on this open YouTube have that conversation. So, Mandy, behave yourself is what I'm saying. Mandy, behave yourself. Mandy, behave yourself. That being said, they go on a day trip to a restaurant, and we find out that Carlos is from a fisherman family. And so he brought him to his favorite, like, fisherman fish restaurant. Fish restaurant. And they have fish eggs, which is not like caviar because they are, he says, where it's the actual bag where the baby fish are in. So like it's the eggs, but it's like the embryonic sac that surrounds them. If I'm saying it right. VaLentine's not adventurous with food. He's like having a whole freak out. He's not into it. It reminds him of chicken gizzards, which I've never had, but he's just like, I don't like the texture. I'm not into it at all. And so there was a little bit of again, I want to say, you guys, and don't come for me. I just want to say that I feel like oftentimes there is a certain group of people who have not traveled a lot in their lives, and so they're not adventurous with their food, and they think that food should be made specifically how they were raised in their 2 by 2 foot radius that they were raised. And I really feel like you don't have to love everything, but you also don't have to insult something that you don't know anything about. You don't like it, you don't like it. I get it. But if you don't open your mind before you open your mouth, then you're automatically not going to like something. And I think that comes true as you get older, right? So like VaLentine is 46 years old and he's set in his ways already. So he thinks he knows what he likes, but perhaps he hasn't traveled enough to really understand what he likes. And maybe his palate would change if he exposed it to more. That's all I'm saying. So they're going to have an issue. VaLentine and Carlos are going to have an issue about what it means to be in a relationship. There's going to be a jealousy component, emotions component, and whether it's a closed relationship or an open relationship where they can add in other people. And I am going to look because I put out that poll in YouTube and I can't see it here. So I'm going to just see if I can see it here. What the answer to the poll is. And let me see. know. I don't see it. Anyways, the question was, could you be in a polyamorous relationship? Could you be in a polyamorous relationship, even if you were not poly yourself? I'll put the results in the comments after the live if I can find out where it is. But 94% said no. Thank you, T. Thank you, because I couldn't see it. I appreciate you. So 94% said no, that they could not be. I personally cannot be either. I can't share. I'm not in for it. Thank you, T. You're new. Everyone say hi to T. Geds. So now it's at 95% said no. So I guess it's like a small population that can do that. All I know is I can't share. You can call me selfish. You can call me whatever the case may be, but like, I'm not sharing my partner with anyone. No, thank you. No, thank you. On our show that we cover for Seeking Sister Wife, my question is always is, what's the prize? Why are the women always having to compromise and the guy can be with however and have however many sister wives and the women just have to be okay with it? Like, what? What? No, I don't share. It's you and me, baby. And if it's not you and me, then it's you with whoever else, and I'm off on my own journey doing my own thing. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for being here. I'm super running late. If you're my Patreon subscriber, we have news and gossip tonight. It's obviously going to run late because it's almost 8 o'clock. I didn't realize the show is going to go as late as it is. So look out for your Patreon alert. We'll have news and gossip shortly as I gather it together. Everyone else have an amazing weekend. I'll see you on Sunday or Monday. And my Patreon subscribers, I'll see you, I want to say, instead of 8:30. That gives me enough time to get it together. So I'm running a little bit late. Sorry, not sorry, because I do have a great news and gossip coming for you shortly. Bye for now. T, that's so funny. I have poly friends, but I'm too petty and jelly. Same, girls, same.